Every ceiling is a new floor. Let me give you an example. Sitting in Steve's office, I go to him and I'm like, I have quite a few friends in the Special Forces back home, Navy SEALs. It's like, Steve, my crazy Navy SEAL buddies they're trying to get me to run a marathon. And he's like, okay, well, do you run? I'm like, no. I lift heavy things. He's like, okay, well, how much time do you have? It's like, not much. It's like, okay. Well, you could train and, you'll be fine. Just sign up. You'll be fine. It's like, okay. I was like, hey, Steve, it's in Antarctica. He's like, what? It's at the South Pole. It's going to be minus 50. 25-knot katabatic winds. We're running on ice with crampons. They have medical staff because if you're out there for more than 5 minutes, you get frostbite. And I'm going to run a marathon on that. What am I doing? He's like, exactly what you're supposed to. Right? And people still ask me, why did I do that? I did that because it was for a great cause and we raised money, but I did that because I knew the person who signed up and said yes to his crazy Navy SEAL buddies to join him on this adventure and the guy who would come out on the other side are not the same guy. They're not. And it's epic shit. So that became the ceiling. Now, I ran my first and only marathon, and it was brutal. I had like walking pneumonia for 6 months because of, it was bad. But I did it. And while I was running, 10, 12 miles into it, I really hadn't trained because part of me just wanted to see if I could gut it out, Like, that's the challenge I really rushed. Like, what's that pain going to feel like when I'm out there? Like, I want to sit in it. Like, I want to feel alive, And it just showed up. I was like, oh, hello. Were you waiting for me? Right around mile 15, everything is hurting, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing out here? And it is just so brutal, and the doctors keep coming by in their sleds, and they're like, you're starting to get frostbite here. They check your toes. They're like, your right 2 toes are close. Can you continue? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to continue. And as I'm running, my document popped in my head. And one of my I am statements is that I am an unstoppable force of nature who accomplishes the improbable and the impossible with ease. And I started chanting it in my head. Incantations. I am an unstoppable force of nature who accomplishes the improbable and the impossible with ease. 100 more feet, 200 more feet. Next thing you know, I get my second win. Now I'm looking at who's in front of me. And now I'm like, David Goggins terminology, now I'm going to snatch souls. So now I'm like, I've gone from I can barely walk to I'm like, how many people ahead of me am I going to run down in this last 11 miles after almost wanting to quit? And the last 11 miles of that marathon, my splits were better than my first 15. And I did not stop chanting that one incantation. And when I was done, I felt like, man, I could go again. An hour after that, not so much. So that became the ceiling, right? That ceiling became the floor. So now, my buddy Alan was talking about, there he is in the back, what's next? That's what I'm talking about, there's levels to this. So the next is, I'm going to run 7 marathons in 7 consecutive days on each of the 7 continents for my 45th birthday. Why? Thank you. I'm going to attempt. And I'm doing it for a charity, so I will share some information. I'm doing it to raise awareness for Parkinson's. My father has Parkinson's. I'll share my social media, if anybody feels like supporting the cause, or you just want to, see me just get brutalized for 4, 5, 6, 7 days. That's where you can follow that journey. I'll share the link. But same thing, right? So now, why am I doing this? The guy who signed up for this 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, whatever it was, he is not capable. I haven't run a marathon since 2017. I ran a marathon and then I stopped running completely. Right? Seemed like a good idea. I run enough. So now I go back, we take an airplane, we're going back to that same race to start off. Our first marathon is in Antarctica, and I'm going back to the same Union Glacier, 112 miles from the South Pole. The thing that damn near killed me. That's day 1. got 6 more. There's no hotels. We get on a plane, we run that. They take us to Cape Town, we get out, we run a marathon, they board us. They take us to Perth, we get out, we run a marathon, they board us. They take us to Dubai, they take us to Madrid, they take us to Brazil, and then they bring us back to Miami. So I'll have airplane food and marathon legs with intermittent sleep in the middle. Will I be able to finish it? I don't know. That's the whole idea. If I knew, it'd be just one more thing to do. You see, my joy now comes from not the things I own, not the things I've created in this external world, but by figuring out this being, this thing that resides in here, what is it capable of? And man, let me tell you, I have yet to find a limit. I have yet to find a limit. And that's why I changed my name to Quran, Limitless Rai. In that case, I had one more thing to talk about, but we'll leave it, and I will just leave you with this. So quick recap, just the 3 things we discussed. See how it works for you. Number 1, really do the work to figure out what it is you want. Don't just spend the time. It's a spiritual process. Go internal, figure it out. Stop deferring your life away and stop quitting at things that really matter to you. And last but not least, do epic shit. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Cheers. I love you, Steve.